Welcome to The Explainer, brought to you by Alpha Constructions. Just think about building a skyscraper for a second. Now, what if every single part, the pipes, the walls, the windows, was made in a different factory hundreds of miles apart? How on earth do you make sure it all fits together? Well, today, we're cracking open Construction 4.0 to see how a revolutionary digital blueprint is solving that exact puzzle and making the way we build faster, smarter, and a whole lot more collaborative. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the huge coordination challenge that's been bugging the construction industry. Then, we'll get into the digital tools that are fixing it. After that, we'll see how this all played out on a real project, which actually taught us a ton about how new ideas spread through a team. It's pretty fascinating stuff. So, to really get a handle on where we're going, we first have to understand a problem that the construction world has been wrestling with for, well, decades. It's a real puzzle. And everything we're talking about today, it's pulled straight from this book, Construction 4.0. It's basically a roadmap for how technology is completely changing the game for the entire industry. Okay, so one of the biggest ideas changing things up is prefabrication. The plan is simple, right? Build big chunks of a building in a factory where you can control everything and then ship them to the site. It's way more efficient, and the quality is just better. But here's where it gets tricky. What happens when you've got dozens of different experts, plumbers, electricians, steelworkers, all building their own separate pieces in their own separate shops? It turns into this massive logistical nightmare. How do you possibly guarantee that it all fits together like a perfect puzzle on site? All right, so let's talk about the solution. Turns out there are two key ideas, two powerful tools that work together to bring some beautiful order to all that chaos. First up, we have Building Information Modeling, or BIM. The easiest way to think about it is like the ultimate 3D instruction manual for a giant, super complex Lego set. Every single piece is there in perfect detail, and everyone on the team can see it and work from it. And that brings us to the second piece, multi-trade prefabrication, or MTP. This is the real goal. It's where you use that awesome digital blueprint to get all the different specialists to build combined parts. So instead of a plain wall, you get a wall section that already has the pipes and the wiring built right in, all before it ever leaves the factory. So you see where this is going, right? When you put the two together, the super detailed digital plan from BIM with the coordinated factory building of MTP, you solve the puzzle. Boom, no more guesswork. Everything just fits. Now, that all sounds great on paper, but the real question is, does this stuff actually work on a big, messy, real-world project? Well, let's take a look at the case study. And here it is. What you're looking at is the digital skeleton of the project from the book. It was a big educational complex, and they used these exact techniques to coordinate the entire build. And believe me, the challenge here was huge. We're talking about a 2-year project with dozens of different teams. They all had to use this one central model to make sure every single prefabricated part came together perfectly. It was a serious test for the whole system. But here's where it gets really fascinating. The researchers on this project didn't just study how the building came together. They studied how an idea, a new technology like BIM, actually spreads through a huge team of people. It's like a ripple effect. And what they found was that any team basically breaks down into two groups. You've got your innovators. These are the folks who jump in feet first and learn the new thing right away. And then you've got the imitators, who kind of hang back and wait to see it working for other people before they decide to give it a try. Now, I know this model looks complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. The more people started using the BIM model, the more their coworkers saw that it was actually working, and that created this powerful feedback loop. Seeing success made more people want to try it, which just created more success. It's a snowball effect. And this graph, wow, this just shows that ripple effect perfectly. See how the red line of people who might adopt goes down as the blue bars of actual users shoot up? Once you get a few of those innovators on board, the idea starts to spread like wildfire. So this all leads to a really powerful strategic idea. If you understand how an idea spreads, well, then you can figure out how to make it spread faster. So this here is your typical learning curve on a project. Adoption starts out slow. It kind of gradually picks up steam over the first half of the project as people slowly get with the program. I mean, It works, eventually, but it's not exactly fast. But now, look at this. When you compare that standard curve to an optimized one, the difference is just staggering. See how much steeper that red line is at the beginning? The entire team gets up to speed in a fraction of the time. It's a game changer. And here's the secret sauce. The big takeaway from the research is that the best strategy isn't to just train people a little bit all the way through. No, it's a focused, intense burst of training right at the start, in the first 40% of the project. That creates enough innovators to kickstart that snowball effect, and then peer influence does the rest of the work for you.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What does this all really mean for the future of how we build things?
Well, the benefits are just crystal clear. When you use BIM for this kind of prefabrication, projects become way more collaborative, they're safer, the quality goes up, and maybe most important, you have one single source of truth, so everybody is literally on the same page. The whole process just gets smarter and more nimble. You know, the authors of the book really say it best themselves. This digital approach doesn't just help offsite building, it fundamentally enables and enhances it. It's just a better way to build, period. And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. This whole thing, it's about more than just buildings, isn't it? It's about optimizing how human beings collaborate. And if we can figure out how to do that on something as complex as a major construction project, just imagine what other massive challenges we could solve by working together a little bit smarter.